4 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock. You tuned in to Focus on Government and Development. We're happy you could join us again for another Thursday edition of our program. If you're joining us via DBS Radio, good evening and welcome. We're also broadcasting live on Kyrie FM and various social media platforms. This is your 1 hour opportunity every Thursday to get familiar with your government ministers, government officials, doing the work of the country on your behalf, each and every one of you. My name is Dion Duran Smith. I'll be with you every Thursday. And tonight I am joined by the Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Blue and Green Economy. She has specific responsibility for the development of community agro-enterprises. She is also the parliamentary representative for the Paybush constituency. And she is the youngest parliamentarian in Dominica's history. Her name is Honorable Lakeyia Joseph. Honorable Joseph, good evening to you and welcome to Focus on Government and Development.
Good evening, Mrs. Durand, and thank you very much for having me this evening. And, well, I must say good evening to the wonderful, caring, and loving people of the Paybush constituency from Paybush, Anzime, and Solda, Benz, Calibishi, and to my constituents all over the country and all over the Caribbean and the world. Good evening to you, wherever you're listening or looking at us from. Good evening, and I am here to speak to you and with you.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I like the fact that you say you're here to speak with your constituents, with our listeners, and not at them or to them. That's a good start. So, Lakeyia, and I'm sorry if I call you Lakeyia.
It's fine. Lakeyia is fine.
The familiarity.
It's fine.
Honorable Joseph, I've been taking this opportunity to get to know our new ministers better. So let's start by describing yourself and telling us a little bit about your background, especially to those of us who may not be so familiar with you.
Okay, so my name is Lakeyia Joseph, and when you see me, it's fine to call me Miss Joseph or Lakeyia. A lot of people are familiar with me before I got into the political arena. And just a little background, I hail from the beautiful community of Benz. I was raised by my grandparents, and my mom does not reside in Dominica, but we have a very, very tight-knit relationship. Big up to my mom. I know that she's listening and she's very proud. But I came from a very humble background, an agricultural background, I should say. My grandfather still engages in agriculture on a domestic level, and I'm very proud of him for that. He's in his 70s, and if you see him, a very warm and kind and quiet young man. I'll say young man because he doesn't look his age at all, and he still engages in agriculture. And before politics, I was very involved in my community. At some point, I received a number of awards. I was named the Youth Champion for Gender Equality and Women Empowerment in 2017. And then I got the Queen's Young Leaders Award in 2018. And I founded a non-profit organization in 2015 called Golden Opportunities, where I seek to help students in their education by seeking scholarship opportunities, donating school supplies, carrying out projects and programs at schools, just to engage and to assist students who are underprivileged, because I at some point was in that same predicament where I probably did not know where my next meal was coming from sometimes, and I probably did not have the necessary tools and the resources that I needed to succeed at school. But praise Jesus, I always had what I needed, and my community raised me, and I must thank each and every one of them for that. My teachers especially, who, when I was going down the drain, I was going astray, they really kept me on track and they kept me grounded. And I did really well at school. I graduated the Dominica State College, and then I went on to university. I worked with a number of international organizations like Samaritan's Purse, PAHO, UNDP, Israel Aid, and just name it. And I have just been doing my thing. And I am a person, and my grandmother will tell you that. And she always says that if you don't know what Lakeyia is doing, you will never know. Like, if you don't see her, you will never know, because I prefer do what I have to do and nobody notices. And I will never ever speak on it until I am requested, or I am told to do so. So that is just me in a nutshell. I am 24 years old. I actually got into politics at 23, and let me just take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit for affording me the opportunity to serve, and to serve well, and as well as my constituents, my family and friends who've always supported me wholeheartedly. And it's been a journey, but this is Lakeyia Joseph, and I think you'll hear a little more from me as we go along, and Ms. Jura will get the information out of me, I'm sure.
Certainly, you've just told us that you're 24 years old, so that means you hold a distinction of being the youngest elected parliamentarian in Dominica's history. Mm-hmm. What does that mean to you, and what do you think it represents for other young people like you who are looking to carve their own space as young professionals within our society?
Yeah, I think it simply means that anything and everything is possible once you put your mind to it. I mean, there are so many things that I have accomplished, and I did not think twice. I mean, sometimes you tell yourself that probably you cannot do it, but you will not know if you cannot do it until you do it, you know? And so I don't think it takes anything from us. Matter of fact, it even benefits us more when we take risks and we take chances and we bet on ourselves. As a young person, I have always betted on. Nobody had to bet on me. Like, nobody had to say, I am putting $100,000 on the line because I don't believe she can do it, or I believe she can do it. Nobody had to do that for me. I did it all by myself. And when I say all by myself, nobody had to tell me to do certain things. Nobody had to tell me not to do certain things. You don't decide what I do and what I don't do, especially when it's positivity. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think twice whenever I engage myself in certain things that I know will benefit others, will be a blessing to somebody else, and what will propel me into the future. I didn't think twice about going into politics. To be very honest, to a certain extent, my plan was to actually go back to university in January. But I got the opportunity to serve and to represent and to speak up for my people, and I had no reservations for that. I got an award from the Queen, not even expecting anything. I did what I had to do from 2015, even before that. And I got an award from the Queen in 2018. I got a chance to eat and drink and speak to her, you know, because of the work that I did and because of certain things that I engaged in. And I went to England all by myself. I've never gone so far before. Right.
And you think that go-getter attitude, that positive attitude, is something that young people can take inspiration from?
Of course. Just do it. Don't be afraid. There are a lot of people who are going to tell you, probably you're too young, or it's not the time, or probably that's not what you should be getting yourself into. But you know what you want. And it's very important for us as young people to know what we want. Because if you don't know what you want, somebody else will know what you want for you. And you will do what that person wants. And we see that happen a lot. Some persons, they don't chase their dreams. They don't do what they're really interested in. They don't have goals and aspirations because they are basically someone else is the mirror. So they see themselves in someone else, or someone else sees themselves in them. And that's not so much of a good thing. Don't get me wrong, take advice, but ensure that whatever advice that you, not all advice is good advice.
Mhm.
Just ensure that whatever you get engaged in, it's going to make a difference in the world and it's going to make you happy. And that's all that matters at the end of the day.
You would appreciate that because of your age
Mhm.
as a young parliamentarian, a young government official, that many young people in our country see you as
Mhm.
a potential voice, that's somebody who can represent their interests. Is this a role that you embrace?
Certainly, certainly. And when it comes to my young people, when it comes to us as young people, I have no reservations. I I have experienced what it's like to be a young person who feel like they don't have a voice, and to a certain extent not having anybody to speak up for them. And I have come to a point, or I am currently in a place where I have a very powerful voice,
Mm-hmm.
and I will take the opportunity to speak up and to speak up for and to speak for my young people, because I'm going to sit at tables where nobody is going to speak up for young people. And it's the reality, and it's happened. Because they don't know how we feel. They don't know what we want. They don't know when we want it, how we want it, why we want it. And they will speak from their point of view. But have you thought about what the young people actually want, what the youth actually thinks, or what they want to say? And I'm willing to take up that role wholeheartedly. And I have.
Mm-hmm.
I have, and I don't regret it, not one bit.
All right. So, Ms. Joseph, being thrust so suddenly into the political limelight and into your new role as a parliamentary secretary, how have you adjusted to these new responsibilities? Because I assume it's very different. It's been very different for you since December.
Yes. One of the main things for me is my trust in God. And I have, from a very young age, understood that God directs everything that goes on in my life. And I have entrusted him with everything that goes on, and he has allowed me to just be directed by everything that's going on in my life. And so I try my best to lean on him first. I pray a lot, and prayer is important. And as young people, we tend to deviate from what is actually important, and our spiritual life is very important, no matter what deity or what supreme being that you believe in, if you believe in God or not, or whatever it is. Spiritually, you need to be directed by something, and whatever that thing is, you just stick to it. And so I try my best not to get overwhelmed. The first 100 days in office can be overwhelming, and probably for the next 4-6 months, it's the period where new parliamentarians and persons who just entering into the arena may feel overwhelmed, and they may feel exasperated, or whatever the case is, if that's a word. But I have learned to not get overwhelmed. I have found mentors. I ask a lot of questions. I ensure that I know the culture of the government system, of the culture of the party that I represent, the culture of my constituents, the culture of this, the culture of that, so that I can maneuver easily and effectively, and I can perform my duties efficiently. Most importantly, I take care of my mind and my body. I don't joke by that. Like, I ensure that I am sane every single day, and it can be very easy to lose your sanity. Like, you deal with all types of people, you go all kinds of places, and you experience so many different things, emotions, and I'm so passionate about what I do. I don't even feel like I'm going to work every day. Like, I go to my office and I don't feel like I'm working, because it's something that I'm very passionate about. I'm passionate about people. I'm passionate about politics. I'm passionate about serving. And I have just held it down, and God has done what he had to do. and I'm just rolling with the waves.
Can you speak about the kind of support, and you spoke about mentors earlier, the kind of support you've received from the more senior members of your team, including the Prime Minister,
For sure.
as you wet your feet
For
during
sure.
those initial months?
For sure. Let me just say that the Prime Minister, the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, has been one of my pillars even before politics, and he has been one of my mentors. Big up to my minister, Honorable Roland Royer and Honorable Julian Defoe. They have really supported me as a young female politician, and coming into an arena where, all of us know that politics is a male-dominated field, and it's an elderly male-dominated field, if you get where I'm coming from. And it has been, and we are quickly breaking those barriers, and I am elated to be one of the persons to have contributed to that. And I must say that the elders have really been supporting. They have really been supportive. They have really been a source of motivation and inspiration, and I must thank each and every one of them for that. So the PSAs, our past ministers, Miss Paul for sure, our association members at the constituency level, when you go to the ministries, the amount of support that you get, because it's a lot to take in. It's a lot of information to process. It's a lot of processes to learn, and how to go about doing this and how to go about doing that. And it has been very seamless, I must say.
I'm happy to hear that. And I'm happy to hear that you're so willing to learn, having recognized that you are new to this and you would need to learn the structure of the government system. So that's encouraging in itself. Before you entered politics, you were doing quite well, building your small business, Nature Blends. I am curious how that has prepared you for your new functions to provide support for micro and small agro enterprises.
Yeah, I think the main thing is that I have experienced it firsthand, what it's like to start up and try to maintain a very small agro enterprise and business in general. And so it makes it much easier for me to be able to relate to these people, because I know exactly what it's like to struggle in this business. And I basically built my business from scratch, from the ground up. And I had just about 900 US on my account, and I tell this story all the time. I had just about 900 US on my account when I decided, well, I was forced out of Trinidad and Tobago while I was at school to come back to Dominica, and my grandfather offered me about 300 pounds of turmeric that he dug for someone, and the huckster could not come for it because of the COVID situation. And I just decided to make coconut turmeric powder. And then I messed up more than half of it trying to get it right, because I didn't have the money, I didn't have the machinery, I didn't have the experience. And I finally made it happen. And right now, I have one of the most premium turmeric powders on the market. And then I went into coconut oil and then castor oil. And then I started making this concoction that is one of my most popular and effective products to this date. And so I know what it's like to maneuver the business environment from the ground up. And I have been making progress. I have assisted a lot of businesses along the way before politics, in the agro enterprises and in the small businesses. And I still continue to do that because I understand what it's like to not have the necessary resources to try and make something happen. I made something happen, and I will continue to make things happen, and I will ensure that every single young person and every single agro entrepreneur in Dominica make things happen, because we have work to do. We have a $700 million target to meet and surpass, and I am here for it, and I'm here to lend my contribution to that.
Of course, that's a perfect segue into the meat of our discussion. But out of curiosity, have you been able to sustain your business even with your segue into politics?
Yes, I have. Before politics, I have put a contingency plan in place for continuity if I had to travel or I had to go back to school or whatever it is, because businesses reach a certain point where it cannot be 100% dependent on the owner. And I know all of the processes. I know how to do every single thing in my business. But I had to understand that I needed a team. And I've always had a team. My family is very, very supportive. My grandfather handles all of the production. My grandmother, she's only interested in the money. Sorry to say, but who's bringing coconuts? How much did you bring? Is this worth $1? Is this worth $2? How much money do I have to give? How much money do I have to collect? And she handles that part of it, and I have no issues with that because my grandparents has been, and my mother has been my main supporters from day one. And now that I have my business, and my mother actually handles my business, my Nature Blends business in St. Martin for me.
Okay.
And so it's a team effort. I actually have a disabled uncle who does most of the coconut production, and he holds it down very well. Big up to Lakeyia and Diane and my brand ambassadors Kayla, Michelle, and all the others who pretty much make things look easy for me, and they make my life so much easier because there are so many things that I could have been worrying about that I don't have to worry about at this point in the business, and that makes it so much more comprehensive and simple, and it just makes life so much easier.
All right, that's good to know. Okay, so with your specific responsibility, which has been assigned to you in the new government to spearhead the development of agro enterprises, how are you approaching this assignment?
Right. So, firstly, I will just say that agri business or agro enterprises or agripreneurship, we did not, and I say we because I am an agro processor myself, and I say we did not have a space at the Ministry of Agriculture before. We did not have anybody responsible specifically for that sector. And so now that I have basically become the mother of this sector, I take pride in ensuring that I get to know who my agro processors are. Right? So we have been for quite a few weeks now, probably about more than 5 weeks, 6, probably 8. We have been on a drive to get to know these processors. And farmers are a very essential sector in the agro enterprise industry, and so they play a very pivotal role in agro processing because they provide us with the raw materials that we need to run our businesses. Like, I need turmeric, and I need moringa, and I need coconuts, and I need castor, and I need this, and I need that. And so we were getting to know who these people are. Like, where are our raw materials coming from?
Yeah.
And how can we expedite the process of our agro processors getting those raw materials? Secondly, I have been having conversations with my agro processors, getting to know where they are, who they are, how they conduct their businesses, where do they get their products from, and I'm just getting a feel of who I am actually representing and how can I help, because the ministry has made provisions for agro processors, but how do we know who we're going to help if we don't know who they are? And so we have to go and find them, and I have been finding them wherever they are, from the east to the west and up to the north and down to the south. I have just been finding these people, and after which I have decided, or at the ministry level, we have come to the conclusion that we need to get a sense of how do we help these people.
Yeah.
Even if the funds are available for these people, how are we going to basically multiply those funds? And so that's what we have been on for the past couple weeks.
All right. So like the Honorable Minister said 2 weeks ago, this process of meeting with the farmers, with the stakeholders, must have taught you something. You're learning new things, you're getting new information. What are the most pressing needs of young people in particular who are wanting to get into agro-processing?
Right. So as we traveled through the different agricultural regions, we have witnessed the very intense involvement of youth in farming, agriculture, fishing, agro-processing. and we paid close attention to the issues that confronted them. And we saw the challenge of access to credit, working capital, land, labor, and markets. And these remain as some of the most, well, and we heard it from all of them, the most common challenges. But two of the most burning issues is they tend to ask us, and they tend to ask themselves, how does my involvement in agriculture mean that I'm going to, or does my involvement in agriculture mean I'm going to go through some of the same challenges as some of the older farmers went through? And will it be profitable? Will I be able to feed and clothe and educate and house my children or my family? And secondly, what specialized tools, technologies, techniques, and training can I actually access to allow me to be more efficient and effective and sustainable? And how is this agriculture going to look sexy, if that's a word I can use? Like,
it's definitely a word.
Yeah, yes. Like how are you going to make agriculture sexy for people like us? Yes. Attractive. Mm-hmm. And we've used sexy on the farm because, it sounds a little better than. But to be politically correct, how is it going to be more attractive?
The sexy term is politically correct, because for young people, it has to be, it has to be something that they wish to get involved in. Exactly. That's what we mean when we say that.
Exactly. So that's two of the main issues that we have seen. Is it profitable? And how am I going to benefit from engaging in agriculture?
Mm-hmm. And what are you telling them about how you intend to assist them?
Yeah. So for me, I give people my experience all the time. Agriculture is fun. It's something that I am very passionate about. And I will tell you that agriculture actually took myself and my family from a place where we probably could not go to the supermarket and make a proper monthly grocery shopping, mm-hmm. to us being a little more comfortable and a little more free. And it is a source of generating income. It is instilling pride and excitement. And it's basically allowing your youthful, creative energies to flow. Like, in agriculture, there are no boundaries. Anything you want to do in agriculture, you can do it. You can go into hydroponics, aquaponics, you can go into agro-processing, you can go into pepper planting, you can make it yours. There are no boundaries. And so whenever I tell them that, they tend to ask themselves, what am I waiting for to engage in agriculture? Mm-hmm. That kind of thing.
All right. So the ministry is taking some concrete measures. So, for example, in the 2022-2023 national mm-hmm. budget, Prime Minister's carried earmarked $1 million to assist young people to set up their own farm enterprises. Mm-hmm. And I know that the ministry is moving ahead with implementing this. So tell us about this particular initiative.
Right. So in the current budget, the Honorable Prime Minister has indicated that, and I quote, the government is determined to leverage the talents and skills of our youth as a game changer for agriculture in Dominica. And going through the different regions and speaking to different people, the ministry has undertaken consultation on the matter before our team came. However, our team has a unique position in that they, and when I say they, I mean, I think my minister, Mr. Roye, Honorable Roye, and the PS Sevre, were founding and active members of the National Association of Youth in Agriculture, which was formed in 2003. And together with several of these past members led by Honorable Minister Roye, we have engaged these adult professionals who are now leaders across the agricultural sector, and we have decided to undertake a media launch of initiatives to reactivate youth participation in agriculture with direct support from the government. And so we'll initiate the request for expression of interest, in which young persons will be able to seek financial support to invest in agriculture and their agricultural enterprises. And they will be invited to express to us the specific areas of interest on a pre-designed form that can be filled out online or in person. They will then indicate the type of investment plan to making a specific area of agriculture, fisheries, or agribusiness, the problem, the challenges, and the opportunities that they are seeking to address or engage in agriculture. And they will let us know exactly where they are and where they intend to be in that media launch. And so we'll basically be relaunching NAYA, the National Association of Youth in Agriculture, and we'll bring on the DYBT, the Dominica State College, and mentorship from the Ministry of Agriculture to actually get that comprehensive sense of how do we target these youth, and this is what we're trying to do. And I believe I am excited about it. I am energized. I am ready to work with the youth with this initiative.
Okay, so you say you're excited about it. Can you explain to us a little further why you think a structure like NAYA will provide the kind of direction for the agriculture sector, specifically targeting young people, that we need at this time?
Well, to be very honest, a lot of the challenges that the youth are facing can and will be addressed through the Ministry of Agriculture. And I see a revolution in the ministry. Actually, just about maybe 2 weeks ago, I was brainstorming, and you asked me earlier, why do you enjoy driving alone? And when I drive alone, a lot of my creative juices flow, right? And I get a chance to just be in my own space for driving from Roseau to Benz or Benz to Roseau for an hour and a half. I this idea came to me, and I call it the Let's Grow initiative. And what that Let's Grow initiative basically is targeting the young persons, especially involved in backyard farming, because you have to start somewhere. You must start somewhere. And although a lot of the youth, and we see it a lot, they don't have access to the land and to the capital that they need to basically start somewhere. And I understand what it's like to not be able to fund your initiative so that you can start somewhere. And so what I've decided to do is tap into the agricultural station at 1 Mile, and they're going to provide me with seedlings for the young persons, and we're going to get a chance to grow our own food together. And eventually, when our production increases, we'll be able to take our produce to the supermarkets. We'll be able to package them or vacuum seal them, chop them, and create a basically community economy in agriculture surrounding vegetables and seasonings and basic things for now. And I've seen the interest growing within my youth in the Paybush constituency, and I'm sure as soon as it kicks off officially, we'll see a massive interest among the youth in agriculture. So initiatives like these are what propel the interest of youth in agriculture.
So the Let's Grow initiative that you speak of, is it something you intend to start first in Paybush?
Yes, that's very correct.
All right, so back to NAYA, just in summary, you're saying that the ministry intends very soon to relaunch that national program,
Association of Youth in Agriculture.
Yeah, so very soon you're going to relaunch this.
Yes.
And it ties directly to the Prime Minister's initiative for $1 million to fund that kind of activity.
Yes. So after NAYA is launched and we incorporate all of the necessary stakeholders, the initiative will be developed into a model farm that will be used to promote agriculture, build a business enterprise for the young entrepreneurs, and it will be used as a training ground to nurture and encourage other youth participating in agriculture. Therefore, direct support from the fund will also be extended to individuals who are already farming to address the most critical challenges that they're facing in the agricultural businesses.
Honorable Joseph, I remember when the Prime Minister spoke about this initiative, this idea to fund youth enterprise in agriculture. He spoke about high-value crops, and I took that to mean, going in slightly different directions than what we are used to, and producing crops that can be sold at high value to the supermarkets. What are your thoughts on this? Is this the way you see this project going?
Yes. So there are a lot of crops that we take for granted that can actually be very profitable to us. So let's take, for example, sweet sop. Sweet sop is a very valuable crop, and sweet sop is one of the areas that I have been speaking to my youth about. And the markets for sweet sop, and there's a young man from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, or Grenada, actually left his government job to plant sweet sop. And after he planted probably over 5,000 trees, right now he cannot even sustain the market, and he cannot even believe the amount of money that he's making from sweet sops. And that is because you can use the leaves, you can use the fruit, you can use the seeds, just name it. And people pay for these kinds of things, and they pay big money for these kinds of things. Cantaloupes, dragon fruits, grapes. We grow grapes in Dominica at the 1 Mile Agricultural Station, and those are the kinds of crops that we really should understand that are high value and can actually propel our agricultural industry in Dominica.
So it brings me to a question about the kind of support that will be available from your unit, from your ministry, for youth in terms of providing them with guidance, advice, technical support as to the kind of crops they should get into and the kind of crops that hold much economic promise for them.
So the funds that are available will provide a combination of one of the following. So it will either be funding, technical assistance, training and mentorship, which is always available, and it is critical in being successful in agriculture. Mentorship for each qualified participant who shows their interest in this initiative. And we are looking critically at digital tools and apps in agriculture, climate smart technologies, alternative inputs, value addition, I think biotechnology, sustainable production systems, just a host of different initiatives that I think will create a holistic program that we will benefit from, not just in the near future, but in the very distant future, and I think we should take advantage of that.
All right. We also, when we talk about youth in agriculture, youth in agro-processing, we say youth. Have you thought very carefully about who will qualify for these programs that you speak of? I know you speak about NIA, and I guess they would have to register and that kind of thing. But when we talk about the people we are targeting, who exactly are we speaking about?
We are targeting everybody who is interested in getting involved or who is currently involved in agriculture. And we have 3 categories. We have the junior, comprises of persons up to 17 years old, adolescents, youth from 18 to 24, and young adults between 25 and 35 years of age. And obviously we'll have some persons above the age of 35, and they can qualify because at the end of the day we have realized that there are persons over 35 who does not really fall in the bracket of youth, but they're probably 36, they're 37, they're 38, and they are contributing to the agricultural industry. And these people will be given some level of consideration as it relates to NIA. And they will be able to both benefit and provide support for the program as well.
Brilliant. You're tuned in to Focus on Government and Development. We're broadcasting live on DBS Radio, Kyra FM, via various social media platforms. We're happy to have you with us. Our guest is the Honorable Lakeyia Joseph. She's the Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Blue and Green Economy, with responsibility for the development of community agro-enterprises. Honorable Joseph is also the parliamentary representative for the Paybush constituency, the youngest parliamentarian in the House of Assembly, and clearly very passionate about the agriculture sector and the role that youth can play in its development. The lines are now open. If you have a question for Honorable Joseph, a comment, you can call 1-800-327-305-432-9744, 448-3281, 448-3279. As she said earlier, she's here to speak with you. You can call in with your concerns, your comments, your recommendations. Honorable Joseph, earlier you spoke to us about the extensive consultations, meetings you've had with young agro-processors. I'm thinking of the likes of Linvor Ambo from Salisbury, even JD's Naturals, and these people who are clearly making the guy from Dailies who does the peppers, these kinds of people. Big G's, yes, who are clearly making big moves in agro-processing. Have you considered collaborating with them, tapping into their minds and their resources,
Very much so.
mapping a way forward for the industry?
Yeah, and actually, one of the plans that I had or have in the very near future, I think before the launch of NIA, is to bring all of these people together. Because I've had conversations with some of them individually, even before all of this came about. And I've had a sense of where they are, what they think, where they want to be, how they're operating, what are some of their challenges. And the plan is to bring these people together. Actually, Big G is off island, but he will be here in April, as he told me, for a consultation with some youth, I believe. But the plan is to bring these people together, and I will be speaking with them as one of them. I will not be speaking as the minister. I'll not be speaking as the person responsible for what they're engaged in. I'll be speaking to one of them. People like Lindell Paris, who does Coco Labelle, and Terry Henry, all of these people, bring them in one space, because I think the world is not ready for what we can do together, or what we're doing individually. So I think we need to come together to actually tell the world that, you know what, we're ready and we're willing, we're passionate about what we do, and we're here to say that we're willing to work together to make this happen. And I think individually we've been doing well, but collectively we could do so much more, and we could do so much better. And I think if we put our heads together as agro-processors, we will surpass that $700 million. And so the plan is, and I have reached out to a few of them, and Terry Henry actually was on one of our farm tours, and I did not get to be on that tour, but I got a sense of what it was like meeting Terry. And also the Minister of Trade met with Terry as well. And the ministry came to the Nature Blends lab to see what's going on. Actually, the lab is under construction as we speak. JD's also indicated to me that her lab is under construction as well. So in the very near future, all of these people will be in one space, and we will get a chance to discuss exactly what is going on in the industry right now and how are we going to take it forward. And I believe it's going to be very, very informative.
I certainly look forward to that. And I also like the fact that you have, for the second time, mentioned the Prime Minister's target of $700 million contribution.
We must stress
to GDP by 2030. How do you see your little niche within the Ministry of Agriculture contributing to that target?
The strategy to realize our national target of 700, and I've added 1 million to that. So I always say 701 million, because I believe we'll surpass the 700 million. To contribute to the agricultural sector to GDP, we must ensure that we have greater numbers of active farmers, fishers, and agribusiness and agro-processors to increase production on a wider scale. because we've noticed that the markets are there, the demand is there, but to a certain extent we cannot sustain our markets. And I believe to a certain extent is because of our capacity, and if we focus a little more on having more persons actively involved. So for me, if I could get 5 times the amount of coconuts I'm getting right now every day, I will gladly accept it. And that hinders my production, because if I'm not getting the amount of coconuts that I need, I cannot make the amount of coconut oil that the market demands, and so I'll not be able to meet the demands of the market. And so we need to have every single player active and involved in exactly what's going on. Also, we need to invest in modern technologies, innovations, and use more digital tools to increase productivity, efficiency, and sustainability, as well as reduce our dependence on food imports. And I cannot stress this enough. We should not be importing a lot of the things that we are importing. Because why? We're producing it. And if we focus more on being less dependent on these imported foods or these imported products, and we place a greater emphasis on producing it here, consuming it here, and exporting it, we'll see what's the word I'm looking for? Radical increase in our agricultural output. And I believe that we need to take this more seriously, because it threatens our national food security, it drains our financial resources, and it's to a certain extent an underuse of our land, our soil, and our water resources, and we need to maximize these elements to ensure that the benefits are seen in the country.
Caller, good evening. You're on to Focus on Government and Development. Hello?
Hello?
Yes?
Good night.
Good night, sir.
Good night to the host and the minister.
Good evening. Go ahead, please.
Okay. I'm also in the manufacturing. I do herbs, spice, oil. I really appreciate the minister. A lot of things he have been saying. But for me, what I noticed, for the many years I've been in this business, I've been going around the same set of kind of conversation. What I would really want to see happen, I'm not no with disrespect to her, I'd really like to see they really make some serious move into in this industry, because this is a very big business. Spice, oil, herbs, manufacturing. But by the name, my name is Ronnie Harper. I normally do the same thing as you say in the coconut oil. I think in Nature Discount, I saw some of our products there with the cocoa creme, and it's a year product, some other products he sells at Nature Discount, which is owned by Shagon. There's a lot of things I would like to see there too. For instance, there's a young Thomas lady in Marigot who makes the sorrel, package the sorrel. I think it's Pascal Peter Phillips' granddaughter. Now she's to go all the way to Trinidad to label, to do a designing of a labeling and a bag packaging. Now this is one of the things we could do here that will help, and I believe that is the area where the government has to come in and train people to design labeling, because I maybe can do a lot of manufacturing, but maybe I'm not qualified. And you still cannot get the right people. You know, there are some little printing shops in Rosewood. You need more up international standards. I think that's one way the government come in. For instance, they put what? $40 million in the aid bank for small business people. And it's a very long time to get that money. I believe what the government has to do, they were supposed to set up small plants, like on the east, on the north, on the west coast, just like what you see the Japanese do for the fishing industry. They set up fishing base at the seaport, like small machines that where you could go and just bring at least 2 bags of coconut and grind it. You have a lab specialist, like somebody trained to operate it, to handle the equipment. I think that would be better, because up to now, I myself applied to the bank, and let me tell you, man, sometimes, like, how many years now? So that's what I'm saying with she. I do respect what she's saying. She's young, and I don't want to apply too much pressure now. You could imagine, just take a little note of what I'm saying. Today, I'm standing in Roseau, and I saw a gentleman sell one bag of spice, and he makes something like $900 in one
That's
bag
true.
of spice.
Mm-hmm.
And Dominica, we saying we don't have resources. Minister, I want you to put things in place. Even the cruise ships that come in there on islands, you're not just marketing the island for the visitors. We're supposed to be selling a lot of herb spice to these ships, like to cook. Because these are the most valuable things they use every day on the ship. For instance, you could dry the celery, dry it, and make it into a powder, like just like how they importing it. And many of the other products. So those are the things I want to be on a broader level, and the area I would really like to see they put a strength in is to get people to help the small business people to do recording, their accounts, their international branding, like this you have to go to America, what kind of label you have to put back code, FAO standard. That's the area these small business people have a weakness. Because I just supply Judy, I give Judy some of the raw material things, like some of the, like where we see the powder, the product she doesn't need, Judy. I give her some of this product.
Right.
Like the oil. I don't want to take too much of your program. But
Yeah, it's okay.
I really want us to take in, you know.
And I agree.
That Grenada is making millions a year in price.
Mm-hmm.
Have a good night.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very, very much for that. And I totally agree with you. And I have noticed that we need to pay closer attention to the nitty-gritties, because we have good products and we have persons making great strides in agro-processing and in agriculture, but when it comes to marketing and labeling and packaging, especially packaging, we lack in those areas. And when I started my business, I had to take it upon myself to create my own logo and my own labels and decide how I'm going to package my products, because I literally had no one to do it for me. And there was no one who was going to sit and take all of my sketches and all my drafts and all my crazy ideas and basically put it into something that I actually wanted to see. Because in an interview recently with Finance Focus, I noticed that a lot of agro-processors and a lot of persons in agriculture don't look at the business as a real business. So whenever opportunities come by, they cannot apply for a grant because they haven't been taking records. They haven't been taking notes of what their expenses are and what their income is and stuff like that. And so I believe we need to start from the lowest level up to the highest. People need to be trained, educated, and they have to understand that agriculture is big business. And whenever you are involved in anything from the farm to the production to the packaging, you need to take it very seriously, and it's actually a business. And you can make some big, good money from that.
We'll take this final call before we wind up our program. Caller, good evening.
Okay, I'm already late. Good evening to you, Miss Dion.
Hello.
Dear Smith, and your host, my girl, respect the youngest parliamentarian in Dominica.
Big up you.
I love girl. Let me tell you, your village is my village, you know. I'm from Maho, but your village is my village.
It's me that know.
People, hey, boy, plaza, money, bomb, Samila.
Yeah,
but let me tell you something, my girl.
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening to you there tonight. And from February up to this day, I've been only getting positive vibes, hearing positive things on the radio, and having positive dreams and a lot of positiveness. And what you're saying there, my girl, I want to support you 121%
121
on that, because you're right on target.
Yeah,
and I want to say that, you see me, my first involvement in commerce and selling, we had a cooperative called the Island Craft Cooperative. You with me?
Mm-hmm. Listening.
And we sold a tea set made only out of coconut. The big water jug, the milk, the milk jug, the sugar bowl, the saucers, and teacups. Everything was from coconut shell, and we sold that to Barbados. Because we were shipping things to Barbados, and we sold a tea set to Barbados. And the Barbados government took that tea set made from Dominica and gave it as a gift to a government of another country. And all they did to it was to add, because we had no branding on it, add made in Barbados.
Yes.
My girl, I telling you, you see what you're saying there? Right now, I tried to get in touch with the Minister of Agriculture, not the present one, first one, because I've been trying to get in touch with a lot of people. I tried to get in touch with solid waste, because you know why? I have an idea, and I see in a place. You see what you're talking about there in terms of everything we're doing, in terms of Jody and the Aloes and all them people. We can put all those things in one place. And when we put it in one place, we will be utilizing local resources, and we can take it all the way from fishing. We can make fish emulsion, we can make fertilizer, we can make everything, medicine, everything. And I even have the vision of where it can be located in Dominica. So my young girl, all I want to tell you tonight, they don't know my number, they don't know me, they know my voice. Yes, and she can tell you who. We need to talk. We need to talk. Because some of the old people, our problem in Dominica, some people, when an idea come out, depending on where the idea come from, they give it no consideration.
All right.
And I can tell you that, and I know that. But if you are willing, you're on the right track.
Yeah, man.
I would like to talk to you personally.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you,
No problem
caller.
at all.
Thank you. So, Ms. Joseph, as I said, we're winding down our program, and you've gotten, from just these two callers, you've gotten quite a few ideas, but you have your own ideas, and you've made that pretty clear in the past hours. I just want us to bring it all together in terms of what we can expect next from you, from your ministry, in terms of empowering our young people and our people in general who wish to get more involved in the agriculture sector, the kind of support they can access, the kind of opportunities that are available, and how you, as the young parliamentary secretary, intend to assist them.
Yeah. So I've recognized, and my team and I, the government as a whole, have recognized that there are many constraints in production and marketing of agricultural products, and that this represents the lowest end for generating revenue and building profitability in agricultural enterprises in Dominica. And so my vision and our vision as a team therefore lies in creating an environment in which youth participation in agriculture is rewarding, it is encouraging, and it is profitable, with the capacity to generate income that can sustain their livelihoods and increase the level of investment for growth and development in the agricultural sector in Dominica. And it goes far beyond making coconut tablet or making coconut oil. As the young man said, every single product can be transferred into a byproduct from coconuts. So at Nature Blends, we use the shell to make coconut charcoal, the food to make coconut oil. We also do crafts. We use the pash for animal feed, fertilizer, whatever it is. And I am willing to instill that level of innovation and creativity in youth, because the possibilities, as I said, in agriculture, it is endless. And if I have to go down that road with you tonight, Mrs. Dura Smith, we will not leave the studio this evening. And so I don't wish to splurge all of my ideas and what my vision is in detail, but all I will say is that I am willing to take this agricultural sector to the next level. It's my responsibility. We are already taking it to the next level because Jody is creating all kinds of things. To be honest, Nature Blends has gone from creating coconut oil to make one of the best hair oils that you can find on the market right now. And through the youth, we seek to increase the adoption of modern tools, equipment, small machinery and techniques, the best practices. And I'm elated to lead this charge and have heard of many young persons in Dominica who are pursuing value addition, and the government and the ministry will provide the guidance, the support, the finances, and I in particular want to highlight the small group of agripreneurs from my constituency that is building and have built a business, like the Cassava Man and many others who are doing carrot oil and avocado oil and coconut treats and all of these things. And I just want to say big up to them, and just know that I'm right behind you. I am here to support you, and not just the people in my constituency, but every single agripreneur and agro-processor across the island. And I see you, I know you, and I just want to let you know that I am here. We are here to support you, and we are here to do whatever it takes to see you succeed and for us to reach that goal of $701 million.
Mm-hmm. Honorable Joseph, this is not meant to be a one-off thing, you know. As you continue with your plans and programs, we would like to invite you back when the time is right to speak about the initiatives within the sector, because our objective is to map the process and more so to keep our listeners or citizens engaged and informed about the work that is going on within the various ministries. So we certainly look forward to speaking with you again. Of course, if there's any initiative that you wish to keep us abreast of, you just call us. One thing I wanted to just be clear on before we leave, the launch of NIA. Do you have a date for that?
Yes, so it is actually March 31st, the last day of March, and it will be a media launch. The venue, I think, is not concreted as yet, but all the information will be available, and we will provide the public with the necessary information that they need. So yes, NIA will be launched on March 31st. I am positive about it. Only if I'm sick or dead or something comes up that we absolutely cannot have it on that day, then the date will be changed. But for now, it's not tentative. It is concrete that on March 31st, NIA will be launched.
We look forward to hearing much more about that. I wish you a safe journey home to Ben's. An hour and a half, you tell me?
Yes,
it takes you to get home? All right, so do drive safely, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for the support. Thank you for listening, and continue to tune in to Focus on Government and Development as the government keeps you informed about what is happening on a ministerial level and the government level as a whole. So thank you everyone for listening.
I think I should ask you to do an advert for this program.
Sure, I'll be happy to.
Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
All right. As you heard from the Honorable Minister, this program is all about you, keeping you informed, keeping you up to date. We look forward to you joining us next week, Thursday, for another Focus on Government and Development. Our guest was Honorable Lakeyia Joseph, the Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Blue and Green Economy. My name is Dion Smith. Do have yourselves a good evening.